to show you how I take a feed bag and turn it into a wind fringe, kind of like a windsock, but spread out for maximum movement in the yard. And my whole purpose is to scare hawks away from my chickens. There's a real problem if you have hawks preying on your chickens. If your chickens are the only things moving around in your yard, that's really attractive to a hawk. I've had some luck, I think, with providing distracting movement of other sorts at various levels in my yard to put off a hawk. If they see movement of other animals like a large dog, people frequently use pie tins on strings, things like that. Any other movement that can be distracting and is not always in the same place, so it changes around. If you've got a hawk that's kind of staking out your property and they see changes from day to day, they're put off by that. And you're less likely, there's no guarantee, but you're less likely to lose your hens to a hawk predation. So one of the things I do, we all who have chickens, we have lots of these feed bags around. And the feed bags are made of this like nice, sturdy, plasticky woven material that's waterproof and, as I said, very sturdy. And as opposed to putting it into landfill, I decided to use these as a source of motion in my yard. A lot of people use these feed bags and they turn them into grocery totes, which I think is wonderful. I'm not terrible crafty. I hate to see them get wasted, and at the same time, I have a need to put things out in my yard to annoy the hawks or just to kind of make them nervous and maybe slow them down a little bit. And so I'm going to show you how to turn a feed bag into a wind fringe. Okay, very simple. Let's get started. Okay, the first thing you'll have to do, typically, as you already know, these are sewn. There's a seam at the bottom of the bag. I've taken mine off of my bags to use them, but you'll have to use a seam ripper or a pair of scissors, or you can just cut it straight off. You're not going to lose that much. So you have to remove the bottom seam, and then you've got a bag that is a open tube, as it were. Okay, then you look around for the place where the bag was heat pressed together. You can see one layer overlapping the other there, and just peel it apart. Voila! Okay. Flatten it down. And then it's a really simple process. I like to leave, maybe a hand span uncut at the top so that you can attach it somewhere in the yard. Now, as I mentioned, with anything that you're putting in your yard to distract, annoy, dissuade hawks, you don't typically want to have it in the same place all the time. They get used to things in the same place all the time and then they ignore it. It's just like anybody else. You just start seeing it and they work around it. It's part of their environment and they learn to look around it at your chickens. So I like the fact that I always have a supply of these, and I'll use those clips, those I don't even know what you call the clips. I meant to bring some up, but they're very strong, sturdy office clips. You know, the black ones with the arms that fold down and open up. And I will use that to attach that top fringe to a branch. I have bungee cords and fishing line in my yard so that I can hang things from it. I'll use that to attach to this, or you can even fold it over and staple it, or sew it if you want to be very crafty. I don't do that. So that you have a sleeve at the top, and you can slide that onto a flagpole, a branch, a pole in the yard. It can be on its side and wave in the wind. So there's lots of ways that you can attach this to points in your yard to make it annoying to a hawk. Put it on a clothesline, and it is no more annoying seeing this piece of material flapping in the yard than it is to see laundry on a line. So it shouldn't be something that the neighbors complain about if you have neighbors within vision of your yard. Okay, so the process is very, very simple. I'll start from this end because I think I'm in camera view here. And the material just about cuts itself. I make it about an inch, the strip's about an inch wide, and you can line up your cuts with the weave of this material. Just go straight up in parallel with the weave. It's not important, obviously, to make it exact, just so it shakes like a grass skirt. Okay, there we have it. That'll be nice and distracting, and if I have any breeze at all, that's going to provide extra odd colored motion in my yard, which is my game plan right now for annoying the hawks. I want to emphasize again that this doesn't have to, obviously it's no economy on your part. You don't have to go and buy anything extra. If you have chickens, you already have these bags. You can, instead of those clips that I use, easily poke a hole in it and use a twisty tie to attach it to branches and clotheslines and whatever you've got available in your yard. And because you attach them with clips or with twisty ties, whatever you have around the house, you can move them. So they're not always on the same branch. They're not always on the same part of the clothesline. You move them from place to place to place so the hawk never gets comfortable with the distractions and where they're placed, so they can learn to ignore them and focus on your chickens. So you keep changing it up day by day, and that will help your chickens enjoy their time outside, and you have a little bit of peace of mind that you've got them as protected as they can be. And this is Alana, my faithful scarecrow. Doesn't she look pretty? I also used a feed bag, obviously, for her top, her head, and for her lovely hair. I don't know if you can see that here. There's Alana. Say hi, Alana. And she has beautiful hair that flutters in the breeze. So good job, Alana. But now, let's look as to where we're going to hang up our feed bag fringe. Hi. We are now out in the yard. I'm focusing in on my little Belgian bantam hen, Ebert. I call her BB. Anyways, she really likes how things worked out with our fringes. I'm going to pan over here. There's the first fringe. I'm going to walk over. I have to walk under a little bit of pond netting that I strung up to create sort of a vertical barrier. But anyways, here is there's a bungee line running from this tree to this tree, just through the yard, and I just stapled my fringe along that,
And now it hangs down, creating a sort of a vertical barrier. I like to have horizontal barriers in the yard too, and I know you can't see this, I don't think, but see, there's my pond netting, which I strung up to the bungee line too, sort of making a kind of like the net that you would have in the circus, where the trapeze artists would be swinging and they would have like a horizontal net below them, and that's the way that is. So I've got, I try to annoy the hawks both horizontally and vertically. Vertically with the fringes and windsocks. I've got a little windsock, a glittery windsock over there, and the horizontal barriers like this pond netting. Just a little piece of it, maybe 4 by 6. It's stretched up here between branches and the bungee cord that stretches to different trees in the yard. So that is not the extent of what I do to annoy the hawks, but it's one of the things that you can do with an old feed bag. Here's the one here in the upper yard. Sorry for any of the movement as I walk up here. But yeah, see here I have a piece of fishing line, which I'm going to get close and see if you can see. Yeah, see there's some fishing line. And I have just a piece of fishing line between 2 trees. Luckily I have plenty of trees. And I just stapled this fringe right along that fishing line. Now what's nice is the fringe gives me lots of movement to annoy the hawks. It gives me, like I said, a vertical barrier that the hawk isn't going to want to run between, but my chickens will run beneath because my fishing line is up high enough. It's up about 6-7 feet, and the fringe hangs down, let's say 2.5, 3, and there's another like several feet, a couple feet at the bottom. Now I know a Cooper's hawk is going to fly anywhere, but if you've got some things flapping around in the yard, your pie tins, your windsocks, some fringes, it's just going to look like too much trouble. That's my hope anyway. I haven't lost a chicken this year, and I mean in the last year, to a hawk. So that's a pretty good testimony, but it is not foolproof. There's no guarantees, but I think the more horizontal and vertical barriers you put up and the more movement associated with them, the better off you are. And here's Trixie. She's the one that takes care of my ground predators. Thank you, Trixie. But I cannot seem to train her to attack hawks or to scare hawks off. And that's probably to the good because some of my chickens take flight, and I think she would just be confused. Okay, which birds do I chase and which birds do I not chase? So we're not going to mess with a good thing. So that's my yard, and those are the fringes. Good luck making your own, and good luck thwarting those hawks. Bye-bye.